I mean, everybody's so worried about what people think, or I'm not gonna fail. I'm like, so what? I'm totally not scared to do anything.
I feel like we have to choose one career path and like devote our life to it, and you're like, no, that's okay.
Really, the legacy that I want to leave is to be able to take care of people and inspire people and to help people. And I think that for me, business is a means to do that.
Hi, and welcome back to Bourbon with the Bluegrass Babes. We are here today with Bryce, and I'm not even sure where to start with the long list of things that Bryce is involved in, so I'm going to let him take it off.
Okay, I guess we'll start career first, maybe? Or,
Sure,
okay.
Sure, wherever you want to start.
So I guess semi-recently, in the last like 8 months, I've been working for a travel magazine publication company. So we serve different niches in the group travel market. So anything from meetings, smaller meeting spaces, to leisure group travel, church group travel, I mean, just group travel in general. So I work with a lot of state and city tourism boards, that sort of thing, to promote travel for the destinations. So
Nice.
I'm on the road a lot, but I love it. It's been fun. I knew absolutely nothing about tourism before I did it. So that was completely like random. It was like a LinkedIn search, and it just kind of happened.
He's like, I have these skills.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it had nothing to do with what I ever thought I was gonna do. I didn't really know, but it's fit very well, and I've been thankful for it so far.
So what are some of the places that you've gotten to travel to?
It's really random. So some of the places that we go to, like our readership, like I said, they plan group travel. So sometimes they have to experience a destination before they can sell it. Because imagine taking 40 people to a place you've never been to.
Exactly.
It doesn't really work like that. So one of the things that we do is called a fam trip or familiarization trip. And we take a qualified amount of people to a certain area so they can experience the vacation before they sell it. That's a lot of logistical work, but it's fun because I get to experience basically a vacation. And those places are cool. So I'm going to Savannah, Georgia this summer.
I've
never been to Savannah, so I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward to that. But I did like a state tour, basically with the state of Louisiana, which was really cool. I've done that. And then conferences are just random. Like they're all over the place. I've been to Reno, Nevada for a conference, Panama City Beach, went to Detroit.
So pretty major cities.
Yeah, it's both. Because like
Yeah.
I'm going to, on Sunday I fly out to Springfield, Missouri. I'm driving down to Branson, which is like in the Ozarks. So it's really random. Like it's all
the
different.
Ozarks are cool though.
I've never been either.
You'll like it.
Never been there
Well,
either.
maybe not this. In summertime it's cool because everybody goes on the lake and stuff
Yeah.
there. So it's, a very populated area. But
Looking forward to it.
yeah, it'll be a good
How
time.
do you know that?
I have a friend that lives there. I have a friend that lives there, so that's the only reason why.
I'm like, how do you know so much about Missouri tourists?
Yeah.
I've been there once. The only reason why I know the Ozarks is because that's where everybody like goes boating.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm staying on a lake, which is cool.
Yeah,
It's
so-
like it's right on the lake. So
Most important question of the entire evening.
let's hear it.
How do we become a qualified person to go on these vacations?
Oh, very good question. Very good
Well, I'll
question.
tell you what. So you start a tourism group or company, I guess, and you take people on group trips. So
Can that be like a sector of Bourbon with the Bluegrass Babes?
Can we please?
tourism, yeah, there you go. That's next. So I mean, but no, it's honestly, it's such a cool industry. I mean, you've got people from all walks of life. Like some of the ones I go to, they're, we've got international people there. You go different races, ages, everything. So it's really cool because I'm able to connect with people from different stuff. So it can be anything. So if y'all want to get, some people do like alumni group trips. They do like, you've got like senior citizens that like to travel together. You've got all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, really the trips range from anything. So start taking group tours somewhere.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, did we count as a group? Like BBB, Tim, Izzy?
it's a little
we're in.
small for our group taste, but we'll take it.
We can recruit.
We'll figure it out. Yeah, we can figure that out later. We can do that. But, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Bryce, you listed a laundry list of things.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about what you do outside of work.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I guess a little bit of everything. I mean, I try to be involved in as many things as I can. And I say, it's like a blessing and a curse because I'm too interested in too many things sometimes. And like,
Hard
I
time
understand.
saying that.
I never feel like I've bitten off more than I can chew, but I feel like I'm like, all right, I can't do everything.
Yes.
Like I can't do it all. I can't do everything constantly, but I always have like the drive to do that. So I do a lot of networking events. That's how I met you all, actually, by showing up to that. But what I'm trying to do right now, or not trying to do, I am doing in the process, is starting my own bourbon podcast, actually, with two really good friends of mine. They were both college teammates at Eastern Kentucky, and then one of them I actually used to play Little League football with. So we've known each other
Go
forever.
Colonels.
That's right.
So
Go
did you go to
Kerns, baby.
EKU?
Yeah, went to EKU.
Nice.
So from Lexington, went to EKU, to play football. Played for about 2.5, 3 years before I destroyed my shoulder. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got directly into the workforce, and you know, it kind of just it was a domino effect of my life to where I'm at now. So it was great. Met some of my best friends in my life. Got to play a sport that I love in college. So, but yeah, I met one of my friends there and the other guy. I mean, we just kind of reconnected. We had been in touch over the years. And, you know, we love bourbon. We love to talk about bourbon. I'm like, well, let's talk about it on camera. So we're going to do that. And eventually the hope is that we're going to start our own bourbon line as soon as possible. So it's the first any type of public announcement of that at all. So I hope to like look back, clip
We
this.
got the exclusive.
I'm going to put it on mine and we're going to like have this as a thing. So like, I believe in the power of manifestation.
Oh, 100%.
And going after something and going to get it. And, you know, I'm not afraid to say I'm going to do this. I will do this because that's how you do things.
I noticed you corrected yourself. It's not, I'm not trying, I am doing
I
it.
am doing it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And that's the thing about it. And it's like, that's the difference between like, you know, being confident and cocky. Like, I'm not better than anybody else that's doing it, but I am going to do it. And I'm going to be
it's
proud
gonna
that I'm
happen.
doing it and I'm going to go after it as hard as I can. So that's kind of my mindset just in general, especially with stuff that are, you know, like self-starter missions. Like, I don't have anybody else to keep me on that path. So I've got to be like, we're going to get this done. Let's do it. If it doesn't work, so what? I'll do it again. I'll try something else, and we'll just keep rolling. But I believe in it, and you know, we're excited about it. So.
Well, you picked a wonderful place for it. This is obviously the heart of the bourbon country.
That's right.
So what got you into it? I know you said you like, you know, you're a big fan of bourbon, but what was it? Like, was there a moment where you were like drinking something and you're like, oh, I can make this better? You know what I mean? Or was it just something that you guys all liked and you were like, we could do this?
Honestly, you know what's crazy? People ask me that sometimes. I really don't know like the origin. Like I don't remember like one day I'm like, wow, this is really good. Like I love this. I don't really remember that. It's kind of like a gradual thing. And one thing that's cool about the bourbon community is like how many people share bourbon with you. Like that is one of the, like if somebody doesn't share bourbon with you, they suck. I'm sorry. They just like, you share bourbon. Bourbon's meant to be shared. So yeah, I think it's just a collection of people that have shared with me. I mean, even now, like, you know, hey, I haven't had this, and somebody may be drinking for 20, 30 years and drinking bourbon that long. They're like, hey, you know, they'll send me a little taste of this, and I think that's really cool.
It's like a bonding thing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's camaraderie about with the community. So I think that, you know, just different people over time, maybe kind of just, you know, you try this, you try that. Before you know it, I had one bottle, and then, you know, then I bought a few I bought a few more than I could drink at a time. So then I started a collection.
Have a collection,
And then that's been like the last couple of years. I've just been collecting and just.
What's your favorite?
I get that question a lot too.
Or
that's
top
hard.
two, or-
Yeah, make it like a top three. You don't have to pick one.
That's hard. So it really depends. I mean, like my like classic favorite. So Elijah Craig does a barrel proof. They do different they do like 3 different batches a year. I'm a huge fan. I haven't had one I don't like. Like so if somebody just goes like, what is it? Something that's semi-available, cost, proof point, taste considered. Elijah Craig barrel proof is going to be my answer. If I really have to pick one, just one. So there was a single barrel from Bourbon Tucker out of Columbia, Tennessee, and it's a 12-year. It's phenomenal. So I haven't seen that in over a calendar year at this point, and I am trying my best to find
They're
it.
scarce. Bourbon's hard to find right now.
It is, and I don't
Ever
really even
since
know what's
COVID.
going on with the 12-year.
Ever
Like
since COVID, it was kind of a
supply,
weird thing.
yeah, it could be a supply chain issue or something like that. The 6 and the 10-year you can find sometimes, but the 12-year is like it's disappeared. I've like DM'd them on Instagram. I have like emailed them. I am
People
trying.
hoarded it. Like when COVID hit and everybody got scared that they couldn't, it was like a
Yeah.
prohibition thing. They were like, we're collecting all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I like the Bourbon Tucker 12 years. A single barrel was a total wine pick of their 12 years. I mean, that's one of the best things I've ever had in my life. And then yeah, Elijah Craig barrel proofs are just
Pretty
those
good.
are classic.
I don't think either one of you, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this on our podcast. You guys aren't bourbon drinkers, really.
I like bourbon.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm a bourbon taster.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I
But
like,
that wouldn't be
I
like your choice
appreciate
if you like
it.
went to a bar.
So
Mine's
if
definitely
anyone actually
tequila.
knows me, this is always my choice.
Yeah,
you will
you're a
always see
wine
me with
drinker.
a glass of
Yeah.
No, don't get me wrong. I love my wine. I just did my
I
first
know.
wine tour in Sedona, Arizona, like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
yeah.
And it was
Ooh.
awesome. So I mean, that's something else I'm learning to appreciate too. Because I'm like, if you can taste bourbon, you can get the nuances of that and kind of understand it. Some
There's
of the profile of the
tons of wines that are
spirit.
Bourbon barrel.
Absolutely, yeah.
We actually found one here in Lexington.
They're pretty common now. I like Elmer. Elmer's like my favorite.
Elmer Tea Leaf?
I love Elmer
Yeah.
Tea Leaf.
I've had it
So
one
good.
time, and I was actually in Louisiana when I had it.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah.
and it was. I mean, it was phenomenal. I enjoyed
It's
it.
good. It's
but
good. It's hard to find though. It's one of those
So
things.
if
that
you're
it's not-
allowed to say, like, what would your goal be for the bourbon that you would like to create?
Yeah. Gosh, that's probably a hard question too. Realistically, what we want to do, and and I don't mind to say it out loud because I'll give some of the plans. Some stuff is
Don't tell us
in house.
too
We're
much.
still
Yeah,
we're still
yeah,
working
not
on.
too much,
But yeah, I mean, we want to do our own podcast, and kind of gain some traction and get some attention in the bourbon community. Then maybe roll out a few barrel picks. Hopefully, I mean that's not easy to do because
No.
everybody's got their name in the hat for
Yes.
one right now. And then at some point, I mean, we would like to produce our own. I know we're probably gonna have to source at first. That's just how it is.
How it is.
I mean, I can't just snap my fingers and make a distillery.
Yep.
And I can't, bourbon's got to age, right? So
Wait, you don't have
can't-
$50 million in your pocket?
I
to
don't.
build a
I
new
actually don't. I
distillery?
will disclose that. We do not have $50 million at all. And especially if it's aged too. I mean, I don't just,
Takes
stuff has
time.
to sit for a while,
Yeah.
and that's fine. But at some point, I want to get to a point where that is like the main thing that I do. Then I want to invest into real estate as well too. Maybe some multifamily housing, single family homes, that sort of thing. So.
I might know somebody that could help you. with
Who?
that.
I don't know any real. I don't know anybody. I don't know who you're talking about.
I mean,
so.
Do you like rye? Are you like a big rye bourbon?
I do. I did not at first. Like at
Yeah,
first,
that was my thing.
I
I
would
wasn't a big
explain
fan of it at first.
bourbon and whiskey like coffee because
Yeah.
the first time
Yeah.
think about nobody. I mean, not nobody, but it's very rare you get somebody like a cup of black coffee with nothing in it. You're like, oh, this is delicious.
So
I'm
good.
like,
Yeah.
this is not great. You start off with a French vanilla latte and you gradually take the sugar out and then you enjoy the product for what it is.
Yes.
And I feel like for me, whiskey bourbon is the same thing.
That's
it was
how I
like,
felt about rye. It's one of those things.
Yeah,
that you
it's an
kinda gotta
acquired-
build the taste for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I have people that don't really drink bourbon like that, I'm like, don't drink this 134 proof Elijah
No,
Craig bourbon. You're gonna be like, this is horrible.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
never gonna
You need
drink it
something
again.
sweeter,
So
yeah.
So for me, it was kind of getting into some of the lower proof bourbons first, then the higher proof, and then some of the whiskeys that were a little bit hotter,
Yes,
so to speak.
yes.
So.
Was there somebody that introduced you to bourbon? Like, is there some kind of
He's like, I remember this time in
nostalgia?
a field when I was in high school.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about that. I definitely, maybe, gosh, I'll date myself. The first time I ever remember drinking any bourbon, any whiskey, anything like that was Kentucky Gentleman. It was KG. I know.
KG,
I know.
come on.
I know,
He's like, I paid $2.50.
Look,
Yeah.
we've all
Oh,
been
yeah, it was
there,
great,
okay?
yeah.
We've all been
all been
there.
there.
And at that time, at that time of life, I had only drinking I think light liquor. I only had
Yeah.
like vodka. I mean, bottom shelf vodka. And so,
Everclear.
yeah. Oh God.
Everclear.
Don't even get me started on that. But yeah, I'd only
my
drink, and
God.
I think I kind of was just like, well, I'm a Kentucky boy born and raised. I'm gonna drink this. I'm a Kentucky gentleman.
can
Let me
do
try this
this.
Kentucky gentleman. I can do that.
Kentucky
So-
Like, I am not a Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take that.
And I won't disclose my age at the time. I was, I was drinking age.
Sure.
And
course.
but anyway, that was like, believe it or not, I mean, I didn't hate it, and it's insane to me to even think about
Yeah.
that now because if I were to take a sip of that, I'm like, oh my God, I would throw up. But
can do better.
that was really the first time that I ever remember, like the first,
Mm-hmm.
even like dark liquor period that I've ever had. So, and then I guess it was a couple years went by, and I was just drinking random stuff, and then it just kind of happened gradually. I mean, my current roommate now, he had a bourbon cart before I did, so he's at some point going to see this and want his shout out, so I'll give him that. But he had his bourbon cart first, and I was getting into it around the time that I actually met him. And I thought it was super cool. So I tasted a little bourbon with him. So he's one of the people, I can give him that credit. And it just blew up from there. It just kept happening, yeah. And it was like, and then I live really close to Jake's Cigar Bar. So
Good spot.
I've got to shout them out. They're awesome.
They are
The staff
amazing.
is great. They're good people.
The
They're
atmosphere is
extremely
there.
knowledgeable. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it's so friendly in there. You can just sit down in there and just be, just feel like, you're at home. And I kind of am there now. And I
Yes.
love that. So
It's a great spot. We've talked about it several times, having something there because it just makes
Yeah.
sense.
I
But
would love to do
Yeah.
an
it is a
event
great
there.
spot.
And the atmosphere is fantastic, especially in the summer. They have so many
my
outdoor
gosh, the
things
Absolutely,
you can do.
yeah.
Like even if you
Amazing.
don't want to sit inside, like
Yeah.
some people are very sensitive to smoke. That's fine.
Sure.
They're excellent. They have an
Yes.
excellent outdoor atmosphere as well. Something that you had said was that you didn't want to give somebody who wasn't really a bourbon drinker like a higher proof. And something that I had heard a woman owned. She's a female-owned distillery here in town. She had said that like she really wants to make bourbon accessible to people.
Yes,
And I am kind of finding the same vibe from you. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you want to make it kind of accessible. Do you have like a favorite drink or something that you like to give kind of the newbies?
Yeah, honestly, one of my like the first thing that comes to mind to me, which I mean, I don't have on my shelf, but I mean, I would recommend for a lot of people is just Basil Hayden.
Yes. Very
It's a light sipper. It's 80 proof. It's the lowest proof you can have as a bourbon. But they make the regular Basil Hayden's good. The toasted is really good, and then the subtle smoked, which is kind of harder to find. Is really it's just tasty. Kind of gets you like in the door for bourbon. A lot of people are old fashioned people.
Yes.
Honestly, I never was crazy about
or
old
miss.
fashions.
It's hit
Yeah,
or
like
miss.
I've had some good ones. I'm just not an old fashioned person. So
Yeah.
I would say people to get into old fashions. Let people make it for you. Because you might mess up your own recipe at
And
first.
Jake's is really good about that too. They
Yeah.
have a large selection of mixed bourbon drinks.
Correct.
There's one that I had there, and I cannot think of it for the world of me, but it was honestly probably one of the best bourbon drinks I've ever had, and it was similar to a Manhattan, but a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
So if anyone is watching and doesn't know, Hannah is a former bartender.
Yes.
So she knows
My
a
past
lot
life.
about this.
But if I like was going to take somebody who didn't like bourbon, that would be the place I would take them, just because they're good at making mixed bourbon drinks, and a lot of bars aren't like
Yeah.
by any means. Like,
Yeah.
like even an old fashioned, which is
Yeah.
a traditional bourbon
Yeah,
drink,
absolutely.
can be easily messed up, and there's like 3 ingredients.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that would definitely be the spot that I would be like, if you're trying to like get a mixed bourbon drink, that would be the place to go.
I
For
would
sure.
absolutely agree with you. Yeah, I took my aunt there recently, so I'm part of the Kentucky Black Bourbon Guild as well. So I'm shouting out everybody. I'm trying to
know,
right
you're
as many
just
people as I
hooking
can.
everybody
But it's been awesome. So our yearly dues and what we do goes to pay for some scholarship funds for minorities at Kentucky State or students
Yeah.
at Kentucky State for their distillery program. So that's really cool. But we have awesome networking events and stuff. But I took my aunt to Jake's for a networking event that we had actually there, and it was a celebration of Black History Month. And they have some really unique, like at our events, we have some really unique bourbon cocktails, mixes and stuff. I don't even know what's in them all the time.
Yeah.
But my advice, again, is like to join a bourbon group, join stuff like that, because they may introduce you to something that you don't know.
You didn't even know you
And my aunt's not a bourbon drinker, but she loved it. I mean,
Yeah.
she thought it was really good, whatever drink they made her. I don't know what it was, and
I
it was
know,
good
I feel like I
though.
should look it up because it was so good. Like it really was like one of the best mixed bourbon drinks.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot. Like when people would come up to me and be like, you know, I want something mixed. I'm like,
It's like,
yeah, here's some
Bourbon in
Screwball.
LA.
Have you had Screwball?
Yeah,
whiskey?
Screwball,
It's like peanut butter
yes.
whiskey.
Yes, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but
Yeah.
that would be like something that some people would kind of like lean towards just
Sure.
because it's sweeter. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that like kick. as
Screwball
bad.
and cranberry
Yeah.
juice tastes like a peanut butter and jelly.
It does. That used
And
to be a
it's
shot
kinda
we would
good.
make.
Yeah.
That and Hershey Yingling. People would like to mix that too. The Hershey and the peanut butter
Yeah.
whiskey.
Now, see, I did a bourbon tasting one time, and I'll never forget. It was actually after a yoga class. It was like a little like promo that they had done.
Wow.
Anyway, and I'll never forget the guy. Like he handed us all bourbon and then chocolate squares. Like that
Yeah.
was
Oh,
what
yeah.
it's to complement the
Yes.
bourbon. And it was absolutely. I mean, it was fantastic. They were like little Ghirardelli squares.
Yeah.
The last event we did at Happy Hour, remember they did Maker Mark shots at the
Oh,
beginning,
yeah.
at the entrance.
yeah,
yeah,
with the-
those were good. They
yeah.
were almost like green tea-ish.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really
Like
good.
a lemon. It had like a
Lemony,
yeah.
It had honey in it
honey
too.
lemon. Where did
Yeah.
I get green tea? Yeah, it was definitely a honey lemon Maker's Mark shot. It was good.
Happy
yeah.
Hour is awesome too. I love that place,
Shout
and
out
that's
Happy
where I
Hour.
met
That's
you
where
all.
we
I mentioned,
met.
yeah, that's where we met. But no, that's a great place too.
Yeah.
To go, you want to talk to somebody that's knowledgeable. That is another place I'd
Yes.
recommend for a
Aaron
lot of people.
Rothke is Aaron Rothke.
Aaron's
he
nice.
knows his stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
And bourbons.
awesome.
It makes
so.
a difference to have like a skilled bartender when it comes to bourbon because it's one of those things that I mean you got to really mix with it for it
Yeah.
to like taste right. Vodka and stuff is just easy because it's like a plain
Yeah.
base, you know.
You put any juice with
Yeah,
it,
and
any
it's
citrus,
good.
any whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of do
I don't
whatever
have
with
a
that.
lot of people asking for like bourbon pineapples. That's not
Yeah,
the game.
I'm about to pass on that
Yeah,
one.
I'm gonna,
Yeah, that doesn't
I'm gonna
sound,
veto that option.
doesn't sound good.
I love it. So, what would you say is like your why? How did you get into this? What drove you to this? I know obviously like you had your community and stuff around you, your friends that kind of introduced you to it.
Sure.
But what kind of kept you on that track that you were like, this is where I want to be?
I guess I mean that has to be attributed just as life as a whole for me because this is I have different things I'm interested in, whether it's sports or bourbon or networking or real estate or whatever it is. It's definitely family. So many people have sacrificed so much for me to be able to do what I've done and what I want to do, that it's like I feel like I owe it to them, but not because anybody made me feel like I owe it to them. It's just because like, you know, I want to give back to my family. I want to take care of my family first.
Proud.
That's that's number one for me. So you know, it's like I had to come from a diversified background, and you know, being able to see different portions of life. Like, you know, I mean, I have slave papers from half of my family. Like, we have those at my house. So, yeah, like my grandmother has those from my ancestors. So I look at it like that, and it's like, that's great. Like my grandfather, who's passed away, he told me about, you know, getting secondhand books and pages torn out of them and racial slurs. And I'm like, that's just my grandfather. It's not like it was that far ago.
Yeah.
But, you know, what my family has done is worked hard and, you know, was able to instill a lot of values in me and get me through school and get me to school and to be able to do all this stuff. And, you know, I'm like, that is a blessing. And I'm so thankful for that like I can't not push. I can't not go after something. I can't not try. Yeah, I'm like, so it's like, I think it's awesome to remember your history, but not use it as a crutch. And that's not been my life to where I didn't have to go through that, thankfully. But I understand that, you know.
What did she say earlier in our, it's not, what was it, like it's not your fault of what happened to you, but it is your fault if you like dwell on it. Yeah, it's your responsibility to like
to heal and keep
and like
going.
go through it and
absolutely, and it's been cool because, you know, I mean, so like my mom's family, most of them are all from like northern United States. My great grandmother, she's from Michigan. Her mother was from Canada. So it's like you've got northern white people and southern black Baptists, and that's how I grew up. So it was completely different. Like, so I think, you know, that for me, it was a different demographic, and I was able to see a lot of different culture, different, you know, different everything. So I was exposed to different, you know, I mean, a lot of stuff. And for me, I was like, okay, I've seen some of the stuff that I want to repeat from both sides of my family and some of the things that I want to build upon or change. And, you know, that's what you do is there's a lot of things you learn from your family to build on. And there's a lot of things you're like, okay, let's change. This starts with me, or this changes with me. And I feel like I was put in a position by my parents to be able to do that.
Love that.
Because of their work ethic. So, you know.
What an open mind, like
Right?
I'm an incredibly open-minded.
What am I doing with my life? No, I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
You know, I appreciate it. No, it's been great. I mean, I'll shout my parents. I loved it. I love that. Like people ask, you know, how have you got here? I'm like, oh, my family. Like without a doubt. So like I remember being little and, you know, not having a ton of money, but my parents were so good I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Like they just took care
And
of me.
that's a
Like
blessing. Like
I
if
had
they
no
can
clue.
keep that like into the parent circle, because I know it's a hard thing to do. You know what I mean? Like,
and then from that point, watching them, you know, like just, you know, progressively get better jobs and make more money and buy, you know, and then them buy a home and, you know, like all this stuff. And then like they, you know, end up moving to Florida and buying their dream house there. I mean, it was so cool to see like this progression. And as I got older, as I started to pay attention to that sort of thing, I was able to see I'm like, my parents are awesome, you know, but the whole time for me, the mindset or like, you know, working hard and all that stuff, that never changed. That was the same thing throughout. So I just was able to see them progress, and I can't not do that
you had great role
myself.
models.
Yeah,
So
so
you had great role models.
yeah, they're great people, and I, you know, I always want to shout them out.
You really you really underestimate your parents until you become an
Until
adult.
you're doing it.
And full disclosure, I am not a parent. Kayla is the only one here that is a parent. But like I do just have to say, like you really underestimate how much work your parent is doing until you become an adult. And then I saw this meme today actually, and it said like, can you imagine telling your kid to take the chicken out of the freezer and they don't take it out? You know, I remember. Yes, you know, and then they don't, and you just want to explode. And I get it. I get it. Why
Like,
my mom was like, "What the hell?"
I had to do one thing. I've done all this stuff today. I know.
So
I know.
I completely
I
get it.
remember defrosting a lot of stuff in the microwave before I got home.
So I love that. I love that that is your why. I love that you have come from such a diverse background and you're so open-minded because you know you've been through that. And I think that definitely shows in your personality and really where you've come.
Thank you.
I feel like you kind of touched on it a little bit with it, but the next big question we always like to ask is like, what is the legacy you want to leave behind with this? Like if you had to, you know, leave one thing or give one piece of advice, kind of where would you sit with that?
Yeah, sure. One is just advice-wise, just go after it. So what if it doesn't work? I mean, everybody's so worried about what people think, or I'm not gonna fail. I'm like, so what? I'm totally not scared to do anything, and just do it. I mean, you know, like go. If you don't know something, ask. And people are so afraid to, you know, like to learn something or to be new at something. And so as far as my advice goes, is like just don't be. It's easier said than done. I say don't be scared. I'm not gonna say don't be scared. but don't be
Do it
do it
scared.
scared.
Do it
Correct. Do
scared.
it scared. Do it broke. Do it confused. Do it just do it. Like you've got to just put yourself out there, and that would be my advice. As far as the legacy goes, for me, I'm a Christian. I've been raised that way, so for me, a lot of my morals and values come from that. And for me, I think my legacy is to love people. And at the end of the day, I want to do a lot of things financially. I want to do a lot of things business related. But really, the legacy that I want to leave is to be able to take care of people and inspire people and to help people. And I think that for me, business is a means to do that. And some people are nurses, and that's the way they do that. Some people are teachers, that's the way that they do that. For me, I feel like it's going to be business, and it's going to be, some of those ventures that I'm interested in, because it's been put in my heart to do that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy amount of doors that are opening, and just
And showing people it's capable. Like it's
Yeah.
very easily, not easily by any means, but
Sure.
like it's reachable.
It's doable.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
doable. And
there.
for me, it's like I said, I've expressed, I've had great role models. I've had especially great male role models in my life. My father, uncles, grandfather, whatever. I know some people don't have that. So for me, at some point, I hope that I am now and have been and will continue to be, a role model for younger individuals. Something I want to continue to do is, volunteer for people who, maybe don't have that direction in their life, because I didn't pick my parents. I got
Yeah.
blessed with good people. I didn't pick that. That's something that I got given, and I'm very thankful for it. So if I can leave a legacy to repeat wisdom, love, and kindness, that sort of thing, work ethic, that's what I want to do. And at the end of the day, that's more important to me than anything else. So.
Nice.
Well, and the fact that like you have adventured into so many different industries, I think is very telling of your work ethic and all of the things that you have just listed. So as to kind of wrap up, one of the things that we ask is like, what is some advice that you would give to your younger self, or maybe just someone who is younger and struggling and like, hey, they really look up to you. What advice would you give to them?
That's a good question. I think about that sometimes too. Actually, myself, like, what would I tell myself, or what would I, and I would just say, keep the faith. Like, even if you're not religious, keep the faith in yourself, if nothing else. Like, people get down bad, and you're like, oh God, you wallow in your sorrow, and keep pushing. Like, why? Steve Harvey said something, I think, one time. He said, if you're in hell, why would you stop there? And it's like, and that's, and I've been through that. I've been to some extremely low points in my life, extremely depressed points in my life, and I was like, well, it's got to get better. It's going. I mean, it has to. At this point, I'm like, it can only get better. So for people that are, maybe struggling, or even it's not, mental health, maybe it's just financially, with the relationships, whatever it is, it's like, you've got to keep pushing. You've got to take another step forward. So don't wallow in your sorrow. Feel the emotion that you feel at the time, but let it pass through you, and then you continue to move. So that would be.
And something you said earlier is, you were on track to play football and stuff, and you blew your shoulder out. And that's that pushes you in a completely different direction. You know what I mean? And that's not something you can like prepare for before.
Yeah, that was crazy. It was
pivot.
Yeah,
Pivot. You had to pivot.
I had no choice. I mean, it is what it is. What it is. So I mean, I was, I went to EKU, I played football, and I think I was like right at 3 years before it was over. But I mean, that wasn't even I had several shoulder injuries.
Yeah.
I actually got misdiagnosed with a heart condition at one point. I had like crazy stuff. I was on crutches, hurt my knee. It was like, okay, all these doors are shutting for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going, like, why is this not working? And that just wasn't my path. And like, I know that now.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for it, because I wouldn't be where I'm at, doing what I'm doing, meeting the people that I get to meet, going to places I go without something not working out first, right?
Exactly.
So I'm very thankful for my injury, which is funny, but the last surgery I had was like the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
But I'm sure like in that moment you were like, this is it.
Oh,
Like,
I
I'm
cried.
done. Yeah.
I cried like a baby. I was a grown man. I remember crying in a barbecue restaurant with my dad. Because I was like, I was at risk for like severe nerve damage in my arm, and I was at risk for, it was just going to happen again.
Yeah.
Like, you can't play anymore. And I was like, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. My dad was like, son, do you understand like how bad of an idea this was? And like, I listened to him, and I was at a barbecue restaurant. I just remember start crying. I had a hot chicken quesadilla in front of me, and I just started like boohoo crying, and I was like, that he's right. Like, this is it. He was like, would you like to hold your child one day? Do you want to? You realize you have more of a life. Football is not your life. It's something you do. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
And that kind of put things in perspective for me, just in general. So I was thankful that happened to me and grew as a person and as a man. So.
And it's crazy looking back and you're like, I appreciate that happened.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
what a great
absolutely.
example of like
Yeah.
one door closes, you
Yeah.
know, another
Something
one
else amazing opens. Yeah.
Absolutely.
What an incredible example of that.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing about you, though, thus far in this interview, is that you're not afraid to try all of these things. I think we feel
Yeah.
like we have to choose one career path and
Yeah.
like
And
devote
stick
our
with it.
life to it,
Yeah.
and you're like, no,
Or
that's
just
okay.
one, like
but-
one passion, one hobby, like just one, and dedicate everything to it. We're almost discouraged from being kind of diverse
Well,
and like,
yeah.
You too much work into one thing.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And somebody's like, well,
absolutely.
I've just, I've put my years in. Cause like you said, like, I mean, when you start new things, you got to start at the bottom.
Yeah.
And that's intimidating for a lot of people to have to restart and restart and
Well,
restart. you
And
know.
I think people tie so much of their identity
Yes.
to
Their
what they
career,
do.
What
Absolutely.
they do. 100%. I've always
So-
told people I'm going to have to
Yeah.
delete all my social media. If I ever change career paths, like I'm going to have to get a new phone number,
Yeah.
a new
Yeah.
address, like I'm going to have to like
Whole new
uproot
life.
everything. Yeah.
But
it's
it's
intimidating.
cool that you are brave enough to.
To take it.
To
yeah.
take
Thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, why not, man? Why not? I mean, that's
only
the
live
biggest.
once. You only have
you
one
only
life
live
to,
once.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to look back and I wish I would have tried this or,
Mm-hmm.
oh gosh, I shouldn't have just stayed in that just because I was comfortable. I'm like, so what? Let's do something else. Let's
Exactly.
figure it out. Let's go. Let's go for it.
and now
Let's go
like
after
look
it.
at the diverse like resume and portfolio you have. I mean, you go from travel to bourbon to podcasting. I mean,
Yeah.
But in a weird way, they will all end up serving
Yes,
each
it'll
other.
all-
Like
It's
all
It's
the
kinda
spheres.
yeah, and that's what's
yeah.
kind of unique about it too. I've done different stuff, but they've complemented each other, or even if the industry didn't necessarily complement each other, like the connections that I've
skills and
made. It's like
connections,
you know that guy, and and
Yeah.
I know that person, and like it's all kind of crazy. And I don't believe in accidents, but stuff has like been crazy to me the way like somebody knows somebody from this, but I know them from that, and you know
Yeah.
them from that. And it's like it's all from different stuff that I've done. And I'm like, wow, it's like it's starting to come full circle, but I feel like I have so much more to go that it's just at this point it's just cool to reflect sometimes, and sometimes I don't reflect enough. Like I've done some cool stuff, or I've done that, because I'm so looking forward that I have struggled sometimes. Like, okay, this moment is cool.
Appreciating the moment
Yeah,
and what you've done.
yeah. I always, I feel thankful every day, but to really like reflect on your body of work, sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for that, and that's something that I have to stop and be like, wow, that's cool. That is
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, all right, let's get back to work. But
Yeah.
it's good to think
I
about
saw
what you've done.
somebody on a video, it was some actress or something, but they were talking about that. They were like, they had got their Grammy or whatever it was, they got their big award, and they were like, I thought this was the moment I was waiting for, but actually it was the whole journey. They were like,
Exactly.
that's what I was like
Absolutely.
striving for, was that journey. And she was like, now that I've made it here, I appreciate that more than I appreciate this award that I'm like getting.
Ooh, that gave me cool chills.
Right?
Yeah.
Because people
Yeah.
forget I'm like that. Like I just keep going, and you forget
Yeah.
that, like, oh my gosh, like how much I've done. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you said you want your legacy to be that you loved people. You're kind of doing that. Like, look at
Yeah.
all the people that you're meeting and
Yeah.
connecting, and
yeah.
like you're doing it. You're living in your moment.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
really cool.
part of the human experience is to connect with different people. I mean, that's it.
Yep.
You talk to people who know more than you, and as much as I like to talk to people, I like to listen to people. I feel like that's how you learn. You ask questions, and you talk to people that are where you want to go, or they've been places you want to go to, and
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I feel very blessed that people have poured into my life, and that's why I feel so convicted to be able to do the same thing for other people. So.
And what a fortunate place to be able to pour into other people as well. And that's been, part of this podcast as well, that, we don't make any money doing this.
No.
Yeah.
Like this is something that we do to pour into our community.
Sure.
And I feel like you're doing the same thing.
I think that's awesome
We're
that you
very
all-
blessed to
Thank
have
you.
you with
Well,
us
I
and
feel very
contributing to
thankful.
our journey.
I'm very thankful to be here, and I think it's so cool what you all do. I mean, I met you on Y'all Told Me, and I was like, no way. I was like, that's what I want to do. So I think that's awesome that you all do that. Like, I've been looking all over your Instagram and like watching video. I'm like, I think that's so awesome, and I think that's so cool that you all do that too. So give you your flowers while you're here as well. So
Well,
thank
thank
you.
It's
Yeah.
nice, and we've met so many people, from,
Yeah.
and like you said, then like when people start connecting, they're like, oh, I know you from this, and I've met you from that.
Sure.
You know, we went to school together and we didn't even know it. You know
Right.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like we worked together. Who was it that we interviewed and you all ended up working in like the same sector?
Bethany Casey.
Bethany, yeah, and I
Yeah.
had no idea that they had like both worked at the same time and just barely missed each other in the
Yeah.
offices. You know what I mean?
Funny how that works, yeah.
It is. You know, the world is
Yeah.
big, but it's quite small.
It's quite
It's-
small. when
yeah.
you get
Lexington
into it.
itself.
Lexington is a
especially.
lot smaller than you think it is.
Yeah.
You really, if you knock on
Always
enough
tell
doors,
people,
you'll meet the right people.
Yeah.
So,
Always
yeah.
tell people it's the biggest small town.
You had talked about, I forgot where I was going with that.
I feel like I've
You were
talked.
so close to that thought. You were
I was
so
hanging on
close.
to
I feel like I've talked about too much. I don't want to take y'all over on time, but I get so I get passionate about just life. Like
Yeah.
I just want to. I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful, and like it's hard for me not to talk about everything
Yeah.
all the time. So I'm like I haven't even looked at the time. Like, but your longest episode so far, so y'all forgive me for that.
No, but to wrap us up, how about you tell us where people can find you? If you have a name for the podcast, tell us the name of the podcast, kind of where you're going.
It will be Three Kings Bourbon Podcast. That is going to be the name of it. That is the name of it. We're working on that right now.
Nice.
Some of the logistics of that, but that's going to be it. Bryce Wilson, LinkedIn is really the best way to connect with me. And then I guess that's really about it. I mean, if you need me, you can contact these ladies too. I'm sure they'll get
We'll
find you back.
get in contact with me. But I'm open to inquiries of all kinds. So if I can learn from you or you want to learn from me, let's connect and let's do that. So
I love it. I love
Thank
it.
you so
Well,
much,
thank
Bryce.
you for
We
coming.
really
thank you for having me.
appreciate
Really, I
you.
appreciate it very much. So.
Are you falling behind on your taxes? Do you dread sorting through receipts? Are you confident your business is fully compliant? Does the thought of sitting down and doing taxes make you anxious? If so, let us help you get a leg up on your records and finances. We can be reached at 859-576-0527 or submit@leguppro.com. Reach out today and let LegUp be your one-stop shop for all your accounting needs.